the little curls. I just wanted to talk about that because I wanted to bring up that because that's important when we talk about frequency assaults. I personally know that they are assaulting the frequencies with the music that they're looping in all the grocery stores. So I wanted to give the warning, like if you're going into grocery stores and you're going into places where you know you're going to be exposed to this frequency loop mind control programming, put in what do you call it? Qu'est-ce que c'est? Ear buds. What's the thing? Ear wanted the name ear thingies, you know, the things to cover your ears, not earmuffs, what's it called, y'all? Ear to close your ears up. What is that called? Anybody know what that's called? Yes, noise and the headphones, earplugs, plugs. Thank you. Earplugs. Put in earplugs, no earpods. Earpods are dangerous to your ears because they carry frequency. I hope no one is putting earpods in their ears. I hope you're not putting Wi-Fi things in your ears because it goes directly to your brain, your Wi-Fi in your brains. Put in earplugs. When you're going into places like grocery stores, department stores, I'm telling you right now, you better protect your ears. Okay? You got to protect yourself from the frequencies. They're doing it everywhere. So that is a form of mind control programming that they're activating people with. And you don't even want to talk about the people who decided to go get their 15% off at the grocery store by taking every shot. Okay? The people who decide to get, go and get the pneumonia shot, the Cucarachi shot, what do you call it? What kind of shots they have? The vaccine. They got shots for everything. I'm just saying, people are being activated now. I am not a doctor. I am not a nurse. This is a comedy skit. This is not a real video. Just letting you know. Okay? Because YouTube likes to mess with my videos. Okay? I would just cover your ears. I would do a noise canceling, and it would only be when you're shopping. I'm not saying to walk out in the street like that because that's dangerous. You need to have your facilities, you need to have your awareness. But when you go inside, it's a frequency assault. That 1980s music that they're playing and looping all over these places is a frequency assault. And the hair thing, cover your hair. Cover your hair, ladies. You shouldn't have they are using the natural hair. This is what I'm saying. The natural hair movement was to make women susceptible to forms of frequency assaults. I personally think that. I think they did that purposefully. It wasn't for our health. It wasn't for our goodness. Even though it's healthy for us, they weren't trying to do it for that reason. They wanted to make you more assaultable. So they needed your antennas to be fully magnetizable, especially if you have hair that's really coily and wired, because your coils pick up more frequencies. So the more coily and curly your hair is, it's going to pick up all those frequencies. And if they hijacked all the frequencies, what do you think you're taking in? You're taking in, and also they are assaulting your fertility with that. Because now you look at all the places where people have, women are having destabilized menses. They're having issues with, children, giving birth to healthy, live children. Everything is affected. Remember, women are very, very energetically sensitive because we are able to take in frequencies and we transmit it in our bodies. A lot of us store it into our bodies, and it can literally impede, or it can rewire your cellular components, like your DNA. It can do certain things, along with taking a multitude of extra, you know what I mean? Going in for your 15% off and getting all those things, then now you're basically like hardwired and susceptible to any sort of frequencies that are coming in. And it's literally going into your body and reconfiguring how you take in certain information with your environment. So it's important to do that. And how I'm saying this, y'all, is I just look at everything from all angles. And I've been noticing that for a long time, like I said, I always look at every group of people. That's what I'm saying. I don't really have any connection. I don't really take any sides with anyone because everyone has information. That's why they want to keep you away from discussing things with certain people. They like to keep everybody separated in different groups because if you talk to the Haitians, if you talk to the Mexicans, if you talk to the Jews, if you talk to the Islamics, if you talk to the Scientologists, if you talk to the Christians, if you talk to the brown people, the lunar people, the Asian people, you will find out there are so many keys in each of those communities that you wouldn't have access to it unless you talk to those people. Gratefully, my group has everyone. I mean, we come from, big up to the zombies. We come from French Creole, either it's Haitian, Martinican, we have Mexicans, we have people from Japan, Vietnam, Chinese background, people who come from brown Americans from the South, the North, Canadians. We got people we know from Romania. We got people we know from England, from the UK, from Switzerland, Sweden. Because when you bring all those groups together, you'll find out that there's certain information that you wouldn't have access to because they like to create separatism. That's their way of making sure that the information stays protected in those communities and you aren't able to see a full map of what they're doing. But I'm telling you right now, these bastards are trying to kill you with the frequencies. Please put a like on the video if you want it to stay up, because I don't know. Willy Wonka and his Link of Doom. You know, again, this video, I'm already saying too much, and I know that I try to keep the videos up for longer, but it's hard to keep videos up if they keep assaulting me. Because remember, I'm going to come up here and purple pill you by accident. I don't mean to purple pill you. Unfortunately, I will purple pill you by accident. I'm sorry if I'm doing it. I really shouldn't do it, but sometimes I just have a big mouth. Let me put my lip gloss on. Sorry, y'all. Okay. When I give you remember we're on pole shift. So you remember the pole shift in my mind, in my knowing, the pole shift happens next year. So everything's happening quicker. And I want to just give I want you to just know that as we get closer to the craziness, we're not in 2024 now, but we're not in 2024 yet, y'all, but it's going to be off the motherfucking chain, y'all. It's already starting. It's like we're in the preamp right now, the pre-tendrils of what's going to happen, but it's going to be crazy. So be careful with that. I wanted to say, I'm just going to give you a suggestion that when you go into grocery stores and anywhere where you're going to hear that loop, that mind control 1980s music, you got to be careful. You should mute it because it's literally, and listen, I don't care how you say you're not under mind control. Everybody is under mind control to a certain degree. That's why we'll use certain, some people are more susceptible to it because they're just more, their cellular, first of all, their ancestors were more capable. Okay. DNA matters. Like if someone's genetically homogenized, their ancestors, they're most likely they're genetically capped. So they aren't able to take in information. And you know it, like, I don't really listen. I was born and bred in the United States, right? My family's not from the States, right? But I have certain mind control programming. But one thing I know is if someone is perpetually believing the television and the news, I don't care where you come from. If I hear you say things that the news is saying and you're repeating it as if it's true, I already know you're under mind control. And I won't really battle with that. I can't fight with your mind control. You got to work with your mind control. Some of you just have it and you're just stuck. Like certain things we have, our prejudices, our biases is all forms of mind control. Okay. When you have little babies aren't really equipped like that. You know what I mean? But there are certain people that are, genetically homogenized from, we don't even know if they're real. They might have just been hybrids from the mud flood people, the test tube people. Those people, they're totally under mind control. Those are just their genetics was only set up to go so far in consciousness. So they don't even have a level of consciousness. Those are the ones who keep saying things like white hats and black hats or Democrats and Republicans. There isn't any such thing. That's all polarities playing out. People playing into that polarity game. Listen, it's the same coin, different sides of the same coin. Democrats and that word doesn't sound right in this field. Democrats and Republicans are the same. They're the same coin, different sides of the same coin. When you say things like black or white, you're in polarities. You're in the polarity game. Okay. If you're going to say things like, I was listening to Alex Jones, because, Alex Jones is really good with intel. I have to give him props because he's been longstanding, but, he's another, I personally think he's probably another PSYOP. Even though his information is really credible, there's a form of him that I think is PSYOPed. But, he'll say things like, oh, the blacks are beating up all the lunars and so on like that. I was like, yeah, I could see that's happening, but he doesn't talk about the fact that, a lot of Western countries have gone into every single so-called brown country and robbed, pillaged, and genocided. So yeah, touche. It's happening. It's all across the board. But you can't speak on one half and not acknowledge the other. You can't say that the so-called blacks are beating up on lunars when you haven't acknowledged a whole genocide of entire countries. And, I went to share about Haiti because I think Haitians are the most underrated, underspoken, advanced society that is being traumatized and destroyed, and nobody ever speaks about it. They'll be like, oh, save Ukraine, save Israel, but nobody will ever talk about what happened to Haiti. They had a whole prime minister that was assassinated by the United Fakes and a whole bunch of others, and nobody said anything about it. Like, it's crazy to me that people are in the mind control. They only will acknowledge things that are promoted social media wise. And they are capped. Like if they have prejudices in their cellular memory, like a bias, no one ever brings up Bush. You ever notice that? How come everybody talks about Obama? Obama is totally, first of all, that's not a black president. For anybody who said that, first, he was not black. B-L-A-K. I said black. Okay, notice I didn't say melanated or brown. He isn't a black president. He wasn't raised by any brown people. He was raised by a lunar mother from the bloodline of the diabolical. He wasn't even a brown person, and he's not even a straight man. He's a homosexual man who is married to a man. Okay? So I don't understand why people bring him up so much and they don't bring up Bush and they don't bring up the Clintons as much. You had Hillary Clinton, this is allegedly, ripping off a child's face on a video, allegedly, okay? And people would prefer to keep talking about Obama because they really hate brown people. They really hate them. So they want to find everything wrong about the one bastard, because he's a bastard, but there's 50 million of them. There was one brown fake president, but you had a whole bunch of other presidents who set up for that whole system. But nobody ever brings up Bush. How come? Why don't you bring up Bush? Where's Bush? Nobody. That Bush family, he was married to a whole man too. Barbara Bush allegedly had a whole freaking Adams album. She looked like something. She looked like a man, a really bad man too. Like, how come you don't bring that up? You always want to bring up Obama, and I don't say you're not right. You're absolutely correct. But why don't you bring up Bell? That's how you know people are under mind control. If they're unwilling to see two sides of the same coin, they'll take one position and it could be correct. I'm not saying it's wrong. It could be correct. It's one position, but they won't acknowledge the other one. Listen, United Fakes is the most diabolical, disgusting, Satanist country. I don't know if you think that you're living in a righteous Christian, I don't know what you think this country is, but it is ran by Satanists. The countries, you know how every country has, like Israel, the main religion is Judaism. In Saudi Arabia, the main religion is, Islam. The United States, the main spiritual and occult religion is Satanism. It is a Satanist country. Everybody is involved in congressional and to the president. They're all Satanists. Okay? So I don't know why you think that the Satanists or there's good Satanists and bad Satanists. Do you know Satanists? Do they sound like they're balanced to you? Okay? Anyone who thinks it's okay to harvest children's organs or to consume it to prolong their disgusting, dastardly, low frequency life, why would you think that there's any system that is acceptable? Do you think that all of these so-called people you voted into the congressional positions, you think they're not all participants? Even if they're not doing it themselves, they're complicit in it by being a party in a system that has a whole bunch of these mother freakers doing it. They're all complicit. Apathy does not give you anonymity. You're all complicit. If I know that you, my neighbor, are doing hurting children, eating children, or promoting trafficking of children, then I, by nature of being a participant, not saying anything, silence is banter for injustice. By me not saying anything or trying to make sure that your behind is taken out of commission, I am just as responsible as the motherfucker who's doing it. You got a whole country of all these so-called political people that you voted in, and none of these motherfuckers are taking accountability for anything. Number one, how come we have chemtrails all over the United States? When is it that you couldn't go to a council meeting? Because big up to my people who are a little more seasoned, mostly the baby boomers, because those are the ones who used to go to all the environmental meetings that, you know, the states holds. They were the ones who used to go in and say, hey, what are all these chemtrails in the sky? Why aren't you telling us why that's allowed and what's in those components? Then when the government the Willy Wonka would ignore them, they would go in, and that's why I got to give the boomers some props. They would go in with water samples or samples when it would rain or dew would fall on, and it would take samples of it and then bring that chemicalized. That's how we know there was barium in it. That's how we knew there was aluminum in it. That's why we know there was strontium in it. We knew that because the baby boomers were the ones who took the samples and brought it in and say, hey, you know, what's in this? How come you keep voting in a governmental system that is rigged from its inception? Why do you think you have a constitutional right for anything when they only created the Constitution when it would allow them to have control over you and make you give you a false feeling of safety? All of it is rigged. I'm sorry, y'all. Listen, I don't know if I'm purple pilling you or not, but everything is a lie. Everything they ever told you is a lie. The whole system, there is no constitution. If there was a constitution, 2020 could never happened. If I was protected by, was it my First Amendment right? Is it First Amendment right? That is for to speech. Is it First Amendment, y'all? Is it first? Am I right? My First Amendment right is for my right to speak freely. Is that it? Am I correct? Just let me know which amendment. I don't really know. I think it's First Amendment, right? It's first? Okay. If in fact we were allowed, the Constitution was standing, your First Amendment right wouldn't be compromised. It was okay for you to see all these talk shows where people talk dastardly about other people. They didn't restrict them. Did you see them did you see anyone being prosecuted for speaking freely about something, even if it was if it was non-tasteful or ethically wrong? No. Your First Amendment right was always protected. That's a lie. During 2020, and before that, because you saw, well, with my channel, my First Amendment right wasn't ever obliged. They didn't give me a right to speak my mind, even if they felt like it was distasteful or it was, non-righteous or non-ethical. They always compromised my First Amendment right. So if it was really an amendment and we were protected by it, why is it that some people were allowed to speak and others weren't? For your Second Amendment right to hold arms, you already know they're compromising that all over the place. The only reason you had that amendment that was made in the fake Constitution was because that was what was given to Europe when it came into the country, when it was advertised to have free land here, because there were a whole bunch of natives living here, indigenous. And in order to, like what's happening right now, y'all, I'm going to be careful because this video is going to be taken out. It might be. It is what it is, y'all. If it's taken out, it is. That's what's happening right now. When the Europeans were coming in the droves and they were told a false narrative, hey, come into the country, there's free land. They didn't tell them there were Native Americans living on those land masses. So people gave up. They were like, you don't want to live under the tax criminal Europe and the queen who's stealing all your money. They told them that. And then when they came here and saw a whole bunch of indigenous, they said, hey, we made an amendment so everybody has a right to hold arms so that you could protect yourself. No, it was forms of for you so they could have a right to assassinate the savages, because that's what they called the indigenous when they came here. They were able to assassinate them. So the Second Amendment right was only given as a way to cull the numbers of indigenous here so they can take them over. Now you're having the same thing happen again, because these mother freakers right here, all these immigrants coming in, listen, y'all, the first group of immigrants last week just finished the academy, the police academy, and they are allowed to hold arms against you, the American, and they don't have their citizenship. So do you see how if you allow one set of rules to be compromised, it will pay you back later, your ancestors back later? They have made sure they've done exactly the same thing. We are in the loop, y'all. The way that the Europeans came in here and assassinated much of the indigenous and culled them and mind controlled the rest of those mother freakers to where they don't even like themselves, they are doing the same thing right now with all the borders are open to the point, y'all, there ain't no going back. There's no going back. That's why they're assaulting the Midwest. I feel sorry for what's happening to the Midwest. They got them surrounded. They are allowing them arms. They don't have their citizenship. They are coming in here in the droves. And y'all, since 2020, not only have you had now listen, when I say immigrants, I'm talking about, and I already told you, I don't even think that all of these men coming in are coming from the earth. I think they might be coming from Nibiru. That's a whole nother conversation we'll have probably on another platform, okay? I personally think that the beings that are coming in, that you're seeing coming in the droves, there is no way you get 10 million men coming in from all these countries and you don't see the depreciation in their country. That means they're not coming from those countries. That means they could be coming from somewhere else. These are soldiers that could be coming down from a ship that you and I are not told is present. These could be, because like I said, Nibiru has melanated men and Asian men. And I noticed that we assume that all of the Asian people coming in those borders is from China. And when you look at them, they don't look depreciated. They don't look malnourished. They look really healthy. They got new clothes, new kicks. If you coming over the Darien Strait and you coming over walking all those long distances, first of all, where are you getting the funding to do that if you're coming from a poor country? And number one, where are you getting all the clean clothes from? Because they're being beamed down here, y'all. They're coming off the ships and they're coming from Nibiru and they're coming to rectify and remedy the assassination of some of their people and their offspring that were here in the United States. That's what I'm saying. Be careful, Midwest, because they coming for y'all, because y'all were the first ones that came in here, pilgrimized and everything, and they coming to remedy certain things. I'd be careful with that, because there's no way you get that many young males coming from other countries without wives and children, and they look so clean and healthy. If you're coming from a third world country, your teeth are jacked up. You'd have sometimes extended bellies. You would look unhealthy skin-wise. They got fresh haircuts, clean clothes, got luggage. These mother freakers right here are coming off Nibiru. And they're coming to a mountain near you. Better be careful. And then this bastard, I'm so dastardly. This bastard, what's his name? Vivek? Some dude who's running for president? You trust him? That I don't even know where he came from. I don't even know if that. Listen, y'all. Yo, this dude Vivek, where'd he come from? Y'all know him? He said he don't even care if Trump runs around. Where'd he come from? He don't even look like he's from here. Well, who is he? Y'all know him? Do you guys know him? Gemini, you know, I don't know who he is. I don't trust him. He's another clown. He's another clown in the clown show. Where'd he come from? Where'd he come from? I heard him the other day, and you see, Alex Jones is promoting him. Roseanne Barr is promoting him. Who else? Someone else. Why are they promoting this guy? Oh, George Soros. Gemini said George Soros is funding him. Yo, Vivek, listen to his name. That sounds like an alien name. It's a lizard. Kay said he's a lizard. He was like, I'm coming in as a patriot. You don't look like a patriot, sir. Where are you from? What country are you from? Listen, I'm first generation. I don't claim to be a full-blooded. They ain't no full-blooded American other than the natives. Just to be, but he don't look like a native to me. I don't know where he's from. Where's he from? Do y'all know where he's from? That's another alien. I don't know what planet or what. He might be a Martian for all I know. Where is he from? Punjab. Punjabi? He's Indian? Oh, snap. So, okay, so they brown and American, y'all. Y'all. I'm telling you right now, y'all motherfuckers need to leave the United States. Y'all, I don't, listen. And then you always call me prejudiced. I ain't supporting him, and he's supposedly brown. Y'all be like, oh, she only likes brown. I don't like all brown people. I already let you know that. I'm not a Negrotarian, and I'm not an Indotarian, okay? Negrotarians and Indotarians just like everything brown, whether it's good or not. That isn't me. I don't know where he's from. My gut says I don't like him. And I don't care. Listen. It's bad enough Trump was orange. This motherfreaker right here, they make him more melanated so you trust him, just like Obama. They bring in a brown face, so you thinking, y'all thinking it's all good. You said he got the shingle shot? Did you see he got the shingle? Is he promoting the shingle shot? You said he looks like he's got the shingle shot? Who said that? Oh, Reese said he's got the shingle. Reese, you talking about him getting the shingle shot? There is no way Vivek will win. I don't know where he's from. You said Vivek Pfizer? Listen. I saw him. I was like, oh, they trying to bring in another clown. Oh, where is the clowns? Listen. I don't know. Just like that other guy. And everybody got mad when I didn't like that other guy. What was that other guy's name? Remember Trump was running and all these people were running like this other Indian. What was the other? His name was Shiva. Do you remember the guy Shiva? Y'all, do you remember him? What's his name? Shiva. Remember that guy Shiva that was running? Am I right? Remember him? And I didn't like him and everybody cursed me out. Dr. Shiva, I did not like him. Oh, no, I did not. For all the people who said listen, because you got brown skin don't mean anything to me. It's all in your soul. I didn't like Dr. Shiva either. I think whoever's coming from that region, I wouldn't trust them. And he got mad too. He was using young Pharaoh to remember that? He was using young Pharaoh. He was on young Pharaoh's thing. And people were like, oh, why are you being such a hater, Fleur? Because he was a setup too. He was a setup too. I don't trust these people. I don't know, I just saw this one here, Viva. And, you know, the problem is that because you got Mr. Kamala Harris, another trans, Mr. Kamala, right? Allegedly, okay? Mr. Kamala, who's called herself, I don't know Mr. Kamala, what is he? Did he accept his trans status yet? Has he come out of the closet yet? No? Okay, well, when he comes out of the closet, then maybe I'll say real, but it's allegedly for now, okay? This is what I perceive him to be. Mr. Kamala ran on the Asian card, right? So she came in, right? And said she was Asian. Why does she get to choose Asian and Obama chose brown, a black man? Do you understand what kind of craziness this is? Obama wasn't even raised by anything brown. The only thing brown that he was messing with was his husband. Okay? That's the only thing brown that he was messing with. But other than that, Kamala came in on an Asian thing. And first of all, why would you say that when you call yourself even her father didn't accept her? Because she said she was smoking weed because she's Jamaican. That's disrespectful. How you going to assume all Jamaicans smoke weed? That was so disrespectful, y'all. And the father said it too. He was like, how you going to come in and tell people you smoke weed because you're Jamaican? It's disregarding, it's disrespectful. It is uniformly a form of by making it seem like all Jamaicans smoke weed and that's what they do. It's disrespectful. Her father checked her, or him, whatever he is, whatever it is, right? So you got this one coming in, Kamala saying she was coming in on as an Indian, right? So why is it important for them to bring Indians up into a subgroup? Because it's like they're riding, it's almost like they're riding something, because there's a lot of Asians coming in the country. So it's kind of like they're building like a fort of like acceptability. That's what they do when they bring another group in. They kind of slowly put them into your view. So you start to, it becomes more normalized and regulated. You know what I mean? That's what they do. So I think that's what Mr. Kamala was meant to do. And this Vivek, I don't care what you say. I don't trust him. Just like I don't trust any of the mother freakers. He came in and I heard him yesterday. I was like, oh, he's like, and I think he's a shapeshifter. I don't even think, when you look at a shapeshifter, he's holding his form really well. And I didn't really break it down. But when I looked at him, he reminds me of people that are shapeshifters. He has the same kind of look. Like it's that visual look. I got to sit and watch him a couple more times. But if I had to put my money on it, something's wrong there. I'm sorry, I talked about him too long. I just was upset. I saw him. I was like, oh, they trying to set us up. Let me explain something, y'all. Yeah, I don't know what that being is. I don't know if y'all feel the same way. I don't know. He gives me the same vibes of Dr. Shiva. He gives me the same vibes, and I don't like him either. I don't know what it is. It has nothing to do with them being Indian. It has nothing to do with that. It's some about where they come from or who they are. That's all it is. I don't know what it is, though. So now you basically are Trump. Listen, Trump's clones are all in court. Trump got a clone for every court case. Okay, so Trump's clones, they got a clone. They got a double. They got a Trump clone for every court case. They got him all tied up. DeSantis, I'm from Florida. I was living in Florida for such a long time. I had a thing for Santos, but Santos is being run and he's being monetized by the Khazarians. So the Khazarians claim him, so I can't trust him. Okay? So everybody, there's no political arena that's safe, y'all. They're all Satanists, allegedly. They're all Satanists. The whole country is Satanist. They all, listen, that's why they're not going to give you the list. And when you see the list, it's going to be a mixture of probably some victims up in that list, because they don't want you to let you know all them bastards were complicit in all that kind of sick sexual deviant behavior. They're all basically shape-shifting one sex to another. They're sickos. All of them. Would you leave a politician with your children alone? You tell me, maybe I'm wrong. Would you leave your politician with your child? Tell me. Would you say to yourself, oh, I voted for this woman. Let me leave my son Tommy with, would you ever in your life? That lets you know you shouldn't trust any of them. You thinking, listen, y'all, there's nothing changed from the Queen Lizzie. Queen Lizzie died. The only difference is that what's happening now, and this is a fact. I'll share this because I think I've kept you guys too long. Whenever there is a queen, a female queen that is at the top, she will assassinate all females. That it's like when you have a beehive or a queen in who is this? Oh, big up to Selma, who's in my Zumbi group. I gotta give a shout out to Selma, who's in the Zumbi group. She shared this. I didn't know this about bees, but this is a good example. Whenever there's a female at the top who's in rulership, they will assassinate all the females. They will destroy them. They'll keep them marginalized and controlled because it's like a competition thing. They want to make sure no other one can take her spot. So when the queen bee she will put a chemical in each one of the little pods that holds the little babies for the females, so all the females aren't going to be as big as her and they won't be able to produce babies. So she will basically inseminate each of the pods. She'll have her drones inseminate each of the females the little larva, and she will put something in there so they don't develop into females that will be big like her or be able to reproduce. Okay. But guess what happened? Queen Lizzie supposedly died, which we know she probably shapeshifted and went into one of her grandchildren, allegedly. Okay. Little Charlotte, right? She went to see Charlotte first. She probably, vrilled her way into Charlotte's eye, and now she's probably living in that little girl. Okay. Then you have the king. So when the king takes over, when a male takes over, that's now how you know this is fact, y'all, is because look what's happening to all the males right now. All the males are being destroyed and feminized. They're destroying the fertility of the males. They're destroying the males. That's what lets you know a king is in rulership now. And women will start to take positions of power, because now a male, a king, a masculine is now in a higher position. So now all males will be destroyed because they don't want males to compete with that king. So now they're going to destroy all the masculinity. So now you're seeing all males being destroyed. How many males are being so damaged right now? It's sad. Like, they're going over and buying. Listen, y'all, if your wand isn't working, you should sue the federal government. If your wand stopped working and it isn't getting as nice and stiff as it used to, you should sue the government. I'm telling you. The food is being compromised with hormonal blockers. They're putting hormonal blockers in the food, in the sky. They're putting it everywhere. So a lot of men are not even able to have full erections anymore. I'm sorry I'm blowing the spot, but it is what it is. I mean, it's bad too, because now that Queen Lizzie had supposedly passed away, now they're attacking males in the droves. And I tell you, males, if you have sea stars, you need to take those babies and go move into the forest or the jungle, and don't tell anybody where you are. Dig yourself a nice hole underneath the ground and raise your little boys, because they coming for the males. Just like in the wasn't in the Bible when they went to destroy all males, you think they just killed them. See, a lot of times you think the stories in the Bibles are just basically historical accounts of how they genocided before. Whenever a king he was jealous. He didn't want to make sure no males would come with him. It wasn't that they murdered. You think that they murdered the little boys? No, they didn't. They probably just took away their virility. They muted them, made them into females, castrated them. Yes. Turned them into the others. Eunuchs. Yes, Joshua. So that's all they did. So you need to listen, because a lot of you moms, like, I go to the store, and I'm real funky with what I buy. I'm very restricted on what I purchase, especially for my children. And I go into stores and I see mothers, what they put in their carts. Oh my God. And they got sons. I had to tell one of the women, I said, listen, maybe I'm not in a position to share this with you, but I'm going to share this with you now. All the stuff you put in there, if you have little boys, you're going to create boys that don't like girls. Or you're going to have boys that are going to have testosterone, lower, and will suffer from forms of, feminism. Like you see a lot of males on social media. They talk a lot. They're very chatty. That's very feminine. They go and get manicures and stuff like that. Males don't do things like that. Males are not even very talkative. A very masculine male is very stoic. He's very calm. He's not talkative. Communication and stuff like that is very female. All these males on social media talking and wearing nail polish, that's all because they're being chemicalized. It's bioweaponry 101. Okay. So I tell the moms, you got them plastic bottles. I don't care if they say BPA free. All plastic bottles are estrogen mimickers. It will destabilize the hormones. All of them. They will tell you now BPA, because that's the buzz. BPA, everybody's worried about BPA, so they decided not to move any plastic, because then you got to say, what kind of plastic is that made of? When it gets warm, because most shipments of plastic bottles and other things are shipped from countries where it's hot, where it isn't being temperature controlled all the time. What kind of chemical is being leached into that plastic bottle? Okay? You got to ask that. Then you got to say to yourself, where do you live? If you're living in a place where there's a heightened amount of homosexual males and it's odd, the hardest species to switch. And I talked about the gay bombs. You guys thought it was a joke. The military, and you can look it up because everybody gets mad at me. why are you mad at me if you are a victim? You shouldn't be mad at me. You are a victim of forms of chemicalization and bioweaponry by your Willy Wonka systems. You are a victim. Don't get mad at me just because you are now switched into something that was purposefully done purposefully to you. You should work on suing the freaking Willy Wonka system that did that to you or your sons. If you're living somewhere and there's a heightened amount of males that are flipped and are same sex, you need to think to yourself, what is in the water system? What is in the water system? Because the easiest way, that's why they wanted to control all the water. That's why they don't let you dig wells. You can get fined on your own property for digging a well. Why would you get fined? You got to ask yourself, why are you getting fined? Why would they fine you from locating water source underneath the ground on your own property that you purchase? Because the best way to infiltrate any people is through their water system. And they can't do it if you have independent water sources like wells. They can't do it that way. So they got to make sure that you all are tapped into the same source of water so they can all purposefully and nicely chemicalize you and bioweapon you easily. Okay? So mothers, if you have sons, I'm letting you know, allegedly, because I'm not a doctor, because remember, Willy Wonka likes to mess with me. I'm not a doctor or anything. Get your sons out of the United States. And if you're living here, you need to go somewhere and you do what I said just a minute ago. Okay? Because your boys are being indoctrinated with all kinds of social media, which is basically every show now has boys kissing boys. You can go on any show now, especially young people show. Back in the days, they didn't propaganda. You see little children shows like animals playing and, fun stuff. Now, everything is sexually changed and modified, and it's infecting your children's subconscious. And if it doesn't get your son, he's hanging out with other parents that don't care about their children because they don't know. It may not even be the kid. They don't know. So now you got unconscious parents creating more unconscious sons. So your son might be told to have oral sex with his friend because his friend has been indoctrinated and under forms of bioweaponry. I'm sorry. Am I bothering you? I'm sorry. Am I purple pilling? I'm sorry, y'all. I apologize. It is what it is. You allow the government too much insert into your life. All forms, either they're going to listen. If you're sending your child to school with other children, by default, even if you're a parent that is being mindful of what your child eats, drinks, listens to, they're going to school with children that are being frequency assaulted and are under mind control programming and with unconscious parents. So those children will influence yours. That's why they're happy to have school. School wasn't to educate you, to make you higher, to make you more efficient in certain things. It was to put your children in a position to make them more mind controllable and also make them into drones. How wonderful was that? It's important for you. I want to talk to moms about sons because as women, we know. Girls, I already talk about the girls all the time. I'm telling you, moms of sons, you need to, if you're going to stay in the fakes, and I told you, I don't suggest you stay in the fakes. I'm sorry. I know people like, oh, she's a defector. I don't have any loyalty to anywhere. I wouldn't have loyalty to any country that doesn't have loyalty to me and mine. So when people say, oh, she doesn't have loyalty, do you have loyalty to your enemy? You have loyalty to do you have loyalty to a country that is trying to kill you and your offspring? When people say that to me, I was like, they're mind controlled. The fact that you're saying that I am a defector and I don't have why would you have respect for? So you would stay with a man who disrespects you and calls you out your name constantly? You would think it's okay to stay with him? That's what you're telling me when you say, oh, why are you saying about the country? I didn't have a choice and my parents came here. And yes, at the time, I had certain perks and privileges when the United Fakes was still faker. But now it isn't as fake anymore and everything's out of the closet. So I opt out. Okay? If you have boys, get them out of the country. If you're going to stay, you're going to have to do a lot of work, y'all, because you're going to have to keep them away from all the other indoctrinated little boys. Because if you hear about all of that's why they have these books in elementary school telling little boys how to have oral sex with other little boys. When have you ever seen that? And it's an assault on boys. You don't see it as much with girls. You're seeing it on boys. And I would not trust, like, listen, if you have a son, and I'm not one to say, because I don't have a grown son, but if I had a son that's in his twinkling years, I wouldn't trust him sleeping over other little boys' houses, because the things that these little children are being promoted to doing, and a lot of children are being touched by other relatives and being switched. We have a king that's now in rulership, so old boys will be destroyed. So they're going to make boys into girls. That's what they do. And people are like, well, in other countries, do they do it? Yeah, there's other forms they're trying to, but not every country is we're in a Satanist country. We're living in Satanism. And if you know anything about Satanism, it's all about inversion. It's all about inverting everything. So in that itself, you know that if you're raising a child in here, they're going to invert and make everything that's perverted right. They're going to make everything that you perceivably would think was wrong initially in your mindset as a parent and make it into something right. And money is all spelled. All the fiat. Then I don't know why you guys get upset that they're getting rid of physical cash, because all of that money has all those sigils and rituals all over it. Why would you even want to touch it? I told you before, the richest, wealthiest people have the most limited contact with physical money. It's spelled. It's ritualized. Every time you touch a physical bill, it literally, you're being spelled. Okay? So even if they change the currency and make it into something else, currency is something you have naturally. You don't have to necessarily accept all forms of currency just from them and their exchanges. You can create that. Currency is current. It's currency. It's currency. You create it yourself. Okay? You create energy. And if you accept that you're limited and the only way that you can be abundant is through them, then you're going to live a life like that. That's why you got to be careful around being with people who will compromise their life and anything for fiat. Like if someone is always compromising for fiat, then that isn't somebody you could trust. Like if someone will compromise their physical autonomy, their health, for 15% off groceries to take shots that they normally wouldn't do, that means they're compromisable. Those are people you shouldn't trust around your family or anything, because if people will compromise just for something so simple, $50, someone will take $50 and tell all your business, or $50 and, go and do things like that. And let me speak to the men, like even Jamoji. Let me get a shout out to Jamoji. And I think I spoke about this before. I'm not going to stay on too much longer because I'm going too far. But even with Jamoji, big up to Jamoji because she gave this information. She was saying that her cousin was in the prison. Okay, so I'm talking to the guys who were locked up because I know some of them listen to me. And let me explain something to our Sun Stars and Sea Stars who are locked up. Once you're put behind those walls, they want to get your DNA and access to it. And if she was saying that her cousin, they were offering the males $50, which is nothing. $50 to give their sperm and to use it. And they were put in cells with their same blood types. Why do you think they're able to weaponize shots of mass destruction? Because the men in prison feel desperate and will sell out their DNA for $50 because they're confined and they feel desperate and they don't have access to maybe outside resources. So they compromise their DNA. And guess what? If you share the same DNA with them, guess what? The next time they make a cucarachi shot, guess who's going to be affected and probably have some sort of weaponized health issues? I'm sorry. Am I ruining your peace of mind? Sorry, y'all. Sometimes I'm not really that hostile in my life, y'all. I'm really not. I get all amped up. Please put a like on my video if you're up for the shenanigans today, y'all. I say I come on here, I'm not gonna talk about everything, but then I end up doing it. Isn't it crazy? I say I'm not gonna come on here and just totally talk about everything, but by the nature of being, and you know what's crazy, because I'm 3 Sages, it's harder for me to hold back on the other 2 Sages. The first Sag will get it, but like, okay, you can't talk about everything. Then the second Sag will say, well, screw that, we could talk about anything. But you know, then the third Sag is like, screw that, let's just let it all out. It's like 3 of me in one. It's a shame. And then you got aliens coming off the ship Nibiru, coming over the border. Listen, I actually feel safer with the immigrants coming off of Nibiru than I feel with the fake government, Satanist government. That's the crazy part. I gratefully feel safer with some of these men coming in, because I look at the governmental system. These motherfuckers are trying to kill everybody, allegedly. These motherfuckers are weaponizing the food. They putting everything in the... Oh, that's a nice car. They putting everything in the food. They coming over the border. They being dropped off ships. They being dropped off the ship. Coming to the neighborhood. Let me talk to y'all in the Midwest. I've gone abroad, and I think it's smart. They're lizards. Charlotte said they're lizards. They probably are. They clone Tyrone. Y'all, I've gone out of the country in Mexico. Well, I just came from Mexico. Let me tell you. You think it was me telling you to leave the country? I'm telling you right now. Everybody left the country. A lot of lunars from the Midwest left. They left. I talked to them. They left the country, y'all. Woo! They left. So they got the memo. The rest of you, I feel bad. I feel sorry. I do, because they're surrounding the Midwest. They going straight for the lunar males up in the Midwest. They coming for y'all. And I don't really, at first I was like, well, the lunar males in the Midwest, they've been stockpiling since their grandfathers were World War I. They'll be okay. No, I don't think that anymore, because there's too many of these aliens coming in here. There's too many. And they did the same like they did when they colonized the United States. They're making sure that for every one lunar male that's stockpiling, they got like 30, 40 motherfuckers for you. It's really scary. It really is. It's very sad. So I just say, because it's mostly women on here. I don't know how many lunar men are on here, but y'all, I'm giving you the heads up. Most brown people, I told you I'm not a Negrotarian. I don't really abide by any of the so-called, racial limitations. I'll share with everybody, because I feel like if you hear this message, it's meant for you to hear it. I would be careful. See, because Idaho's just got hit again. And if you notice, there wasn't a time that Idaho was ever hit like that. Like, Idaho is one of those places, like, a lot of lunars live over there. It's not, like, maybe drugs and stuff maybe is in the Midwest, because they do a lot more, because that may be boredom, recreational drugs. But when I see that they got all of these, they weaponizing them, they're giving them weapons, y'all. And they're doing frequency, they're doing maturing they're doing maturing activations in Idaho. Like with that shooting, they had the shooting warning like 3 months ago, and they didn't take it seriously, and they shot up the school. Then remember those 3 girls? What was it? 3 young ladies, cutie pies too. Who are the girls? Remember the girls in Idaho? Really pretty girls, college students. Remember the 2 girls, y'all? Remember, very sweetie pies, the little girls in college. Blonde, they were both blondes, and there was like 2 others in the house, and they all got assassinated. That was all they working on Idaho, and right, the Idaho 4. Yeah, it's very sad. Yeah, they're working over there. They're triggering maturing candidates over there. That's what they're doing. They're working on. See, they're gonna do that first. They're gonna trigger all those who chipped up, the sleeper cells, and then they're gonna surround them with them freaking crazy aliens that are in here. Listen, if you think that I'm trying to scare you, go and look at the first police candidates, the police academy that just allowed illegal aliens to become officers and join the academy. When have you ever heard of that? They're not citizens. They haven't been legitimized. We don't even know where they came. They came off of ships. You don't even know what ship they came off of. How do you verify what country they're coming from? Anybody could come from over the border. They just basically, they're giving them weaponized phones to activate the maturing candidate inside of them. Okay. Their sleeper cell. They're activating them. They're coming all over the border. How do you know where they're coming from? Okay. Be careful, Lunar. I'm talking to my Lunar Sea Stars because I love my Lunar Sea Stars and I want them safe because, you know, they've been rocking with me. Listen, I want them and their family safe, especially women with children. I'm very sensitive to that. I want y'all to be safe. So I say, listen, Sea Stars, my Lunar Sea Stars and my Lunar Sun Stars in the Midwest, I wouldn't even try to fight. I don't know. Listen, Willy Wonka got all these weaponized aliens over here, and we can't even distinguish what planet they came from. Nonetheless, what country they came from. We don't even know what they got. They could have payloads in their body of viruses and mass destruction. We don't know. But they're targeting y'all. I know that much. I will tell you that. I know that much. And what I know and see, they're targeting y'all. And I see them, they're testing, they're doing like beta tests, they're doing little things. Like with the Idaho, that was maturing candidate activation. Then they did it with the school last night. They're activating these bastards, okay? They're bastards. Be careful, Sea Stars. And especially when you have children, I want y'all to be careful. I want you to pay attention. And the ones that they're sending over by y'all are not going to be so easily discernible. Remember, you forgot how many Ukrainians came in here? Do you remember? I think Sea Stars, you got to realize, you're thinking it's the brown and Asian ones that are coming there. No, they're going to cloak the people with the areas that match the type of look. They're not sending the Negroes to you or the Asians to you. They're sending other lunar looking people towards you. Because you would be able to discern friend from foe. Because remember, it's mostly lunars there. You wouldn't accept having a whole bunch of brown people coming into town. That's just what it is. But you wouldn't know the difference if you see a lunar guy dressed like a yuppie. How would you know the difference? Be careful and just be mindful. And with your little ones, don't just let them go all over the place like that anymore. This is just my advice. Okay, because they're sending, remember, you don't remember how many Ukrainians they let in the country, y'all. How many Ukrainians? Do you remember? No, none of you remember. The Ukrainians are not brown and they're not Asian. How would you know the difference if someone is dressed like an American? You wouldn't know. They're not sending those people. When I say they're surrounding you, y'all automatically think it's brown people. They're not going to do that. They're not stupid. That's why they send the brown ones over to brown areas and Asians over to Asian areas, because they can mix in with the group. They're not stupid. This is warfare, y'all. They know that you're up on it. So just make sure you look. Just pay attention, Sea Stars. Alaska, I don't think they really... I don't know that they really messing with y'all in Alaska like that. I haven't looked. I have to look into that. I haven't heard anything about Alaska, though. You're kind of close to Russia. So I don't, how many Ukrainians did y'all let in? Because I don't think many people know that. How many Ukrainians did you let in? Again, these are things that other channels are not going to tell you because they don't want you to know, because a lot of them are agents. Like Canadian Prepper and all them, they're monetized agents, okay? They're going to give you certain information to keep you distracted. But a lot of these people online, they're paid by the government. Listen. And they are, because their channels are not being infiltrated. Nobody's messing with them. They're allowed to share information. How could Canadian Prepper give that much intel and nobody touches channel? How many? Okay. Lived in a Ukrainian village in Chicago and was mistaken for Ukrainian on a daily basis. Oh, Jen said she lived in Ukraine. Yeah. And I don't want to demonize Ukraine, people from Ukraine, because one of my closest girlfriends was from Ukraine. But it's not that. The people that they let into Ukraine, they look European. You wouldn't be able to decipher a Ukrainian from an American if they dressed like a lunar American. You wouldn't tell unless they talked. I'm just giving a warning, because nobody will do it. I'll do it, because people, I see all these clowns on these channels that are, I know they're Agent Smiths. They're working for the CIA, FBI. I see it. You could see in the kind of conversation how they lead people, and also that they're working for the freaking Willy Wonka system, because all they do is talk about politics and talk about the Republicans and Democrats. Anytime someone's still bringing up Democrats and Republicans as if they're different, you already know they're psyoped, or they're limited cognitively because they're under mind control. They're both working for the same, all the government, all the Willy Wonka systems are working on the same accord. They're all one. Whether you see it black or white is on you. But if you see it only as separate and not realizing it's all one, it's on one coin, you're going to have problems. Be careful with that. I give the warning to y'all because I care about our sea stars that are in the Midwest. Because a lot of you are just sweet and kind, especially moms. A lot of people on this channel, a lot of them are moms. And I really have a soft spot for mothers. And I know that they have their little ones. I don't really care if you're lunar, brown, green, Asian, anything. I'm really protective of moms. So I want to make sure that our lunar women, because they don't know this, because they're not telling you this. And I'm a brown woman telling you this. I'm telling you this. It is not to make you scared. It's just to make you prepared. Because when I go abroad, some of you don't travel abroad. I do. When I see a lot of lunars from the Midwest living in places like Mexico and Colombia, that worries me, because they know something you don't. They know something. That there wasn't a time where lunars felt more comfortable in Spanish countries than they felt in their own country. If they got the FYI and you didn't, that tells me something. It's a lot, y'all. It's a lot more. These are people that used to be very patriotic, and they wouldn't leave their country. They'd have the American flag up. They're living in Mexico. They're living in South America. They left. That means they got wind of something. And a lot of them, their husbands were in the military, so they got the FYI. Okay? Don't trust anybody because they look like you. Just like brown people. I tell brown people, just because most brown people who attack me are brown. They look just like me. They're going to send people who look like you, y'all. That's why I said I'm not a Negrotarian. The Negrotarians think that everything brown is right. Someone says something, oh, why don't you represent for brown people? Because I'm not all brown people. We don't have the same ancestors. I don't even know you like that. Like, why do you represent people because they just look? Because the people who will do the most, look at all Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Who do you think accepted? The only way they can get to you quicker is if they look like you. The number one people that will always get you are the ones who look like you and talk like you. You're not going to let just anybody in. People are very xenophobic like that. Okay? You got to be careful with that. So why the Negrotarians are letting all these MK Ultra agents all in their groups because they brown, they think they brown, they right. They're being infiltrated. It's easier